gender, many women mocked it because it references the infamous adage about women faking orgasms. That's one of the things I thought about when I first saw it. When I first saw this garbage, right? One person also commented that in this all-American video, the people are saluting wrong. On top of that, get your damn salutes right. Why are they saluting incorrectly? Seems un-American. And then somebody else, I've never served, but even I know a British salute when I see one. Can't even get the griff right.
She put this commercial together on some finger painting arts and crafts billboard, like board type thing. She was just slapping her hand with paint. And they were like, all right, we're gonna do this. And then they just threw that commercial together.
That's what they do. But you know what real women don't do, Sarah? Huckabee, chick. They don't try to take women's rights away or endorse the harmful children or the harm of children who have to work. That's what real women don't do. Let's put up this headline right here, team. Let them all see it. Arkansas is rolling back child labor protections. Chick, that real women don't roll back child labor rights. Real women don't do that. They just do not do that. Jackson, I can't with this chick.
We gotta, I guess the sentiment is we gotta teach kids how to be adults sooner. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta show them what's up with the real world. I guess, teach them how to rise up from the, be the cream of the crop type of deal. I guess,
I mean, we went through a whole situation in this country where there were no child labor laws in the United States of America, and children were taken advantage of. They had to work in mines, and don't let me go back to chattel slavery. And even
the good old days, right?
Right. And even after, always have exploited black children. Always have exploited black children. From the time of chattel slavery and even after the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, asterisk on the 13th Amendment, but debt peonage, all that kind of stuff. And black children were never respected and treated like children, always, right? And now, we're at a point in this country where we have child labor laws, and you got chicks like this who claim to be a real woman, but don't give a damn whether or not children are exploited. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, okay, take it from me, TNT, the Nina Turner. I am saying to you, chick, you're not a real woman. Real women don't comport themselves like that. Since you get to be the judge on who real women are and are not, let me just tell you something. Real women would not exploit children. They wouldn't. And baby, anytime, come on, Unboss. Let's have this debate. Real woman to real woman. Let's do the debate. That's our time. I'm leaving out hot today, y'all. Thanks, Action Jackson, for joining us on today's show. Cannot wait to have you back. If it's Monday, it's Action Jackson Monday. And to each and every one of you, thank you for joining us today. You know what I want you to do about this time? I want you to keep the faith, always, but more importantly, keep the fight. Until next time. I hope I'm back tomorrow. I hope they don't Tucker Carlson me.
Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. What's going on, Ma? Welcome to the watch list, you guys. It's a Monday edition of the watch list. I'm talking really fast because there's so much happening today. I think you guys may have already heard a couple of glimpses of the news. But you know what? This solidifies the very fact that I've been talking to you guys about for months. It's Monday. Stop messing with me. It's the Monday. It's the best damn day of the week. You know what that means. Jessica Burbank joins me also on the program. TYT contributor and also an analyst here. What's going on? What is going on, Burbank? I don't know.
It's the best damn news day of the year. This is our Super Bowl.
How is it possible we're going to top this type of news that, of course, we're going to get into today? I really have no idea. But you know what? There's so many things happening. I couldn't even fit this in. I just want you guys to see this first before we go.
Governor, old show you falling behind Trump. Any thoughts on that?
Guys, I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes. Guys, I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes. Guys, I'm not a candidate.
I don't know, man. You ask me stupid questions. Ron DeSantis is beginning to show. According to reports, he's been showing his inability to really deal with some heated situations. As simple as, how do you feel about the polls, Ron? Oh, man, he's not very happy. He does not like being challenged, Burbank. And, you know, those types of folks, when they get themselves into power, they do things like this other guy I heard about that was president who doesn't like being criticized on anything, no matter how wrong he is. Oh, the guy that's leading Ron DeSantis in the polls, Donald Trump. This is who we're dealing with. This guy is very upset about the most simple questions. That's why he's limiting the knowledge people have of his travel. Anything else he's doing is fundraising, the travels, and all that he does is he preps for this run for president. We'll see where this goes. It's going to get kind of crazy. Can't wait for it. But let's go ahead and talk about what you guys came here for. We have apparently some personnel changes at a cable news network.
We just thought, what a great way to end the week. Yeah. Truly, that was a great segment, and I'm just grateful that you came on, and I'm especially grateful for the pie.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Employee of the week, we're just make it of the year, Tyler Morrell of Coco's Pizza. That's it for us for the week. We'll be back. By the way, the entire episode of Let Them Eat Bugs, not quite as good as pizza, streaming now on Fox Nation. Use the promo code ORIGINALS for 30 days free. And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, have the best weekend with the ones that you love, and we'll see you then.
Oh, such a sweet sign-off. On Friday, Tucker Carlson signed off. He'll be back next week. There's even another stupid-ass promo of a ridiculous series he has. Maybe it's okay. I'm just going off of the previous ones. But it is Monday. And last I checked, there's no return of Tucker Carlson. Well, that's happening a little bit later this evening. Let's look at this statement from Fox News to discover exactly why Tucker is not coming back. Yeah, that's the news. Here's the statement. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. Oh, damn. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. Mr. Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21st. Fox News Tonight will air live at 8 Eastern starting this evening as an interim show helmed by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. That's pretty basic, Burbank. Come on, bro. How do we really know what happened? Of course, the questions are being asked. Did he quit? Was he run out of there? This Dominion settlement of $787 million, was that part of it? We saw this backroom deals and, backroom texts and messages that were said, how much he hates Donald Trump. Was Donald Trump a part of it? Did he get some inside, inner action with some of the higher ups at Fox and say, get Tucker's ass out of there? He said he hates me and despises me and wishes to never talk about me again. You know that stuck with him. This may be the one thing that everyone truly misses from Tucker Carlson's show.
It's got to be a big misunderstanding.
Maybe it is, Burbank. What are you thinking? What's happening here? What's going on? I need some expertise.
Fox News is just all tuckered out, Jayar. I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy. They're like, I can excuse a violent insurrection, but I draw the line at you costing us $1 billion. It's like, Their priorities are so screwed up. And I love that they're like, we're going to pick a new host. They're not like, we're replacing the show. So it's just going to be like Tucker Carlson tonight, now with Ben Shapiro.
No.
They act like they're not going to have to completely restructure evening news at Fox and like this is no big deal and just a weekend firing. This is huge. This is crazy. This is going to change politics in America.
To what degree, though? Because that's the next question. Honestly, I was wondering what you think, because I remember Jank before said, oh, one day Tucker's going to get, eventually leave the show and do all this stuff, leave or fire, whichever. And then he's going to go on to this world of politics. He might run for president. And I was like, Jank, you're effing crazy. Now the speculation must swirl. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I'm concerned because I saw my buddy Jackson Hinkle tweet out that it could be a Carlson-Trump 2024 situation. And that's what he endorses. That is worse, maybe, than Tucker Carlson having the ear of thousands of or millions of Americans on cable news. That's an absolute nightmare, especially because Tucker Carlson is such an effective communicator. And it really makes you wonder, would he have more power as vice president or something, or in public office, or does he actually have more power when he can sow the political narrative in the country? He is extremely effective at what he does. That's the one thing we'll give him. And it's terrible that he's so effective at what he does, because he makes this brand of dangerous right-wing populism sound like something that would help everyday American people, when we know at the end of the day, he's just like all of the other right-wing media personalities, where the impact of his work is that he's making people vote for those who will help corporations continue to exploit labor in America and continue to exploit our resources and control our political process. And so it's scary when someone that effective is in a position where he gets to talk all the time. And so I do think politics will change. I think he sort of does that in a way that's irreplaceable.
When I talk a lot about how it's these things that we allow to happen, or we see legislators make these rules and just move on like everything's okay. It's an indictment on our society and the way that we accept things, the way we do stuff, and the way they're reading it, and the way that they'll present things to us to then gain more power and control over our lives and continue to destroy it while we applaud with it. So things like that, being a person who can speak to this many people and convince them of ridiculous points of views and blatant lies, it means something. It's why Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to start another podcast. Matt Gaetz is on a podcast. These all folks want to jump on Fox News all the time, because it's being able to control the narrative does a lot for these policies that they try and put forward, which then leads, of course, to the way that people could respond to this. When I forget which one was Newsmax, it was OAN, when they were getting booted from DirecTV, and like Congress members, Kevin McCarthy, all of them were in front of cameras and podiums talking about how they're going to fight for OAN. I was like, this is your network, or are you a politician that's supposed to be fighting for Americans? They know how important it is for folks to be following these folks and for them to communicate a certain way. So many folks were, of course, celebrating. It was trending, Tucker Carlson, and also that there is a God. Those two things were trending. This is graphic 3, you guys. As we saw it popping one more down from that, as it was popping all over Twitter. So folks were celebrating, but then a couple of the allies of Tucker weren't very happy about it. Here's a couple. Team USA, this random person, says, absolutely disastrous move by Fox. This was the only show on Fox I watched. Come on, bro. I'm completely done with them. Who's with me? I hope Newsmax hires Tucker. Guess they're expecting him to stay within the field. Another person, Texas Nana of 3, my husband and I are officially done with them. Fox, Tucker was the last show we watched. A big mistake. They will lose millions of viewers. Well, they've already lost hundreds of millions of dollars. One more at the bottom. Let's jump down to number 6, though, actually, you guys. Number 6, Carrie Lake. She says, the best decision I ever made was leaving Fox. Didn't know she was there. Good for you, Tucker. You're free and uncensored. The spin always has to be, now you're free to do whatever you want. Because, when he was at Fox News, he wasn't able to do anything he wanted. He couldn't spew all kinds of lies. He couldn't say random things. He was apparently shackled to the truth, or is it lies? Which one is it? We already heard what he had to say about things behind the scenes. And one last one, just because I'm going to give you guys a full picture. Because I listened to him as well, but Steve Bannon said after he left, there's no reason watching anything at that Murdoch empire. He said Jesse Waters is kind of okay, but that's kind of it. Yo, you listen to the folks who support people like Tucker, and you see where their worries are versus where they're happy about it, and then you can kind of tell maybe where this is going. You got last thoughts here?
Yeah, I think you made a good point. Where you get your news is very important, and there's so many places where people can insert their biases. Number one, what stories are you picking? Number two, how are you going to tell the story? Are you going to say there was an officer involved shooting and we have to guess how the officer was involved? Or are you going to say that an unarmed black man was shot by the police after they showed up at the wrong address? Are you going to post pictures of the kid smoking a blunt or the kid in marching band? There are so many places where Tucker inserted his biases when presenting information to people, and they trusted him with giving them information about the world around them without having time to really do a lot of research themselves about the news. That's really what cable news is for. People work all day long. They don't have time to read all of the articles and do all of the research. And so Tucker Carlson really had people's trust and was giving them information about the world in a way that influenced how they see our political process. When we think about our politics, Tucker Carlson made things up for grabs that really shouldn't be. He framed public programs like education, like healthcare, all of these things that should be provided by us pooling together our collective resources. He made it seem like that was some kind of evil communism and that would somehow be bad for people who would actually benefit from these public programs. We shouldn't have someone who's responsible for telling you the news, what happened that day, also have the power to convince you things are a political decision when that should just be what everybody expects from their government. That shouldn't be considered politics. And so he pushed the country so far to the right and pulled us away from things that are just like good for general humanity.
And we'll see how he tries to find a way to continue doing that. We'll follow and see what's happening because we've got more cable network news. Let's watch.
Don Lemon, the co-host of CNN This Morning, is parting ways with the network after 17 years. CNN chairman and CEO Chris Licht releasing a statement saying, in part, Don will forever be part of the CNN family. And Don also responding on Twitter.
Don will forever be part of the CNN family. I don't know. I mean, usually when you get kicked out of families, you're not part of them anymore. Still, breaking news somewhat. Don Lemon is out at CNN. We just talked about Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Now Don Lemon, what's going on today? It's just a Monday. Usually things happen at the end of a week. Something happened over the weekend. Many things. According to Don Lemon, this is what happened over the weekend. He tweeted this out. I was informed this morning by my agent that I've been terminated by CNN. I'm stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I've loved at the network. It's clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I've worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best. He starts by some info, then a little bit of stress there in the middle about what they did or did not tell him, but also he wants his colleagues to be very happy with what was going on. CNN folks there took note of that because originally they did say, see you later, Don, hope all the best for you, as they pointed out there, is what they said after they saw his statement. Don will forever be part of the CNN family. Oh, so this is the original statement. I'm sorry. This is the original statement. Don will forever be part of the CNN family. And we thank him for his contributions over the past 17 years. That's what the CEO, Chris Licht, said. We wish him well and will be cheering him on in his future endeavors. Sure. Yeah. Now that they saw his tweet there talking about how he wasn't told, he wasn't notified, I wish someone would have told me, look at these bastards. They responded. Don Lemon's statement about this morning's events is inaccurate. He was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter. Damn, it's getting a little bit salty around here, Burbank. There's so much more. Donald Trump also responded, as you can imagine, how he may have. But first, pause. What's your thoughts, Burbank?
Well, you know what they say, Jayar. When life gives you lemons, you write up a little statement on Microsoft Word, you screenshot that thing, you post it on Twitter, and you beef with your former employer. I mean, Don's doing all of the things right. A lot of people are speculating, where did this come from? I mean, I can understand Tucker Carlson. There's this whole lawsuit situation happening. But what did Don Lemon do? First of all, you're setting the bar really high with a lawsuit over election integrity. But we covered just 2 weeks ago, you and I, Jayar, on the show, that Don Lemon was caught on a hot mic criticizing Jon Stewart for questioning the Department of Defense failing audits. He wasn't doing things super cleanly, and maybe people didn't know that maybe things were rocky for him at CNN because they weren't watching his show very much. A lot of people are talking about TV ratings, that Don Lemon didn't have great ratings despite being a household name. So it could be something, extremely mundane, but it's interesting that someone can have that much of a cultural impact, be that much of a household name, and still not be someone people are consistently watching.
I wonder what it is, because, again, there was also the Nikki Haley thing, which we'll get to in a second, because maybe a reminder of that really fast, because this is what Trump had to say over on Truth Social. He says, good news. Wow. Quote, the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon, has finally been fired from fake news CNN. My only question is, what took them so long? To which, I mean, I get it. You're supposed to go after the guy you didn't like. But if he's the dumbest and biggest liar ever on cable news, and he's on a CNN, which you also call fake news, shouldn't that stay together? What would be the reason for firing the dumbest and biggest liar for a network that's dumb and lies? It's just a small thing. Does that make sense? But still, that's his response to everything that's happening. And I mentioned the Nikki Haley because I had actually forgotten. I was trying to remember the second thing that Don Lemon had done that potentially got him in this hot water. And yeah, it was the Jon Stewart thing. That's actually a good point about the defense spending that he was going after. And Don Lemon didn't really like his approach and the way that he fought back with this official. But really fast, just to jog y'all's memories on the Nikki Haley line.
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
Oh, no. And he was already on that show with, his, a couple of the anchors. And he used to have his own show in the evening. I'm not sure if they doubled him up. I'm sorry. I didn't know the full lineup that's happening there at CNN. But it seemed like he was getting shifted in different places already. Had that little hiatus over that remark and then came back. And people weren't really sure if it would last that long. It really could have been the continuation of those other issues. One more part. Let's look at this headline here. Graphic 5 here, you guys, from Variety. They also point out that his misogyny at CNN was exposed at one point. Malicious texts, mocking female coworkers, and diva-like behavior. But there's one thing about that, though, Jess. I feel like that's kind of, I don't want to say it, that's so normal, but it's pretty standard when it comes to folks that are on air at these big networks, celebrities, stars, anyone that's in these positions. You'll see them many times treat other folks that they deem as subordinates like garbage, tell them not to look at them and things like that, but also having diva-like behavior. So that part, maybe it's a piece of it, but I doubt it's really the main reason.
Yeah, at this point, it would be fascinating for CNN to just be extremely transparent about what went down and why Don Lemon was fired. I mean, now it's a whole public thing. There's all of this speculation. I think it would be in their interest to clear things up and say, listen, we did X, Y, and Z for this reason. We think it's the right thing. Because imagine being those two anchors sitting on either side of him, both women, and he's saying that Nikki Haley is past her prime when most people would say, she's just approaching the prime of a career in politics. That's what you would say for a man at that stage in his career as well. So I can't imagine they left that broadcast particularly happy about what Don Lemon had said. I'm sure that plays a role. But then also all of this behind the scenes stuff that we didn't even see on air. It's not surprising when you say something that misogynistic on air. What is he saying off air? What is he saying in text messages? It's really not at all surprising. And we know that this is a pretty male-dominated industry. There's still a lot of work to be done. And maybe CNN wasn't actually being proactive. It's just we haven't heard about what's been going on.
Well, we also know that I think with the new leadership there's a little bit of more of a trying to gear it more to the right, or at least the perception of it being geared to the right. And this, let's look at this link here from Aaron Rupar, Graphic 9, you guys. Maybe this played a role. This is what he's saying, at least. So according to the New York Times, this interview that we saw last week with Don Lemon going after Vivek Ramaswamy, they said that played a role in his firing. And he pointed out that co-host Poppy Harlow sat there silently while Lemon was battling with Vivek. Now, by the way, this was an interaction, in case you guys didn't see it, where Ramaswamy was talking about the history of the country and how the Second Amendment rights came so you can actually help black folks get out of slavery and all this nonsense. And Don Lemon actually was right on all this and was pushing back on him pretty angrily and dismissive. because the things that Ramaswamy was saying was stupid, but he went after him in that way, and maybe that played a role because of the direction they want to go, or the disrespect given towards a Republican presidential candidate, no matter the fact that he's polling at 0.1%. It doesn't matter. They're probably concerned with this cooling other folks coming on. What if you come on CNN Airways and you lie in front of Don Lemon? He just might push back. Who knows? Maybe Don Lemon will reveal more things as he finds out. Let's take this first break so we can reveal what you guys have been saying about these two very heavy stories that started this Monday to get us going on this week. We'll take this break now, but when we come back, we talked about Fox News having to pay $787 million to Dominion. There's someone else that's in Dominion's crosshairs. His name is Mike Lindell. He's got other problems happening. Oh, man, I can't wait for that story. We'll be back in a second.
Welcome to Happy everybody. After a week of soul-crushing news, we break out the good stuff. Good news, good videos, good people, and, of course, drink good alcohol. That's the worst thing I've ever had.
This is the best show.
Full disclosure, we did do a shot right before the show began. It says,
Let's
flamingo.
Flamingo.
The reason you had trouble with that word is it's not a word.
Okay.
This is the one of everything.
I've got a rash. Could I just put it on that to see if it'll take it off?
What did you used to think this was?
Bull.
Drink it, swallow it,
No.
spit it. Oh, that's needed after a day like this. Cheers to Brett Ehrlich. Climax. Uranus smells like farts. Because of course it does. This is the worst sketch ever of a perp. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They found the guy. This is Sophie's super happy dog story of the week.
This dog is so precious and deserves the world. I'm just not drinking that beer.
Here's my dog. This is Onyx.
Yeah, I would just say that he's exotic because he's not your traditional dog. Still 12 out of 10 because they're all good.
Well, if that made you happy, just wait till you see the best thing ever of the week. There is a woman who moves like a horse.
Why do I want to go home and like try this?
We're actually going to show you the running butthole challenge right now. What's happening? No, that's just wrong in every way. And we'll see you next time.
Hey, Dave. As you can probably see, Skype froze. Frozen crashed.
You know, I'm watching that documentary on the Vietnam War, and there was a TV journalist in the middle of some tiny little village in Vietnam doing live TV as the soldiers were burning the Vietnamese huts, and it didn't crash. And that was 1965, and he was in Vietnam.
Watch list. What's up? Man, we've been talking for a while already. So I'll read a couple of comments here. Over on Twitch, love y'all on Twitch. Fidel Castor Oil says they fired him because he was eating bugs at the office and the skin suit fell off. Possibly. What are we talking about, though? Don Lemon or Tucker Carlson? We know who we're talking about. Poycat says, is, quote, let them eat bugs still going to air, though? Or was he booted off the entire network? I don't know if you saw this, Burbank. I think they're not running anything, even on the Fox Nation stuff, whatever else. But maybe because it's already been done, and maybe other people's work has to get out there. We'll see. Who knows? Oh, here we go. A Dent Hitchhiking Dragon says, fine, Jayar. You've finally proven your point. This Monday is a good day for a little tuck news. It's the best day of this week. Give me that. It's the best day of this week. We'll get there. We'll see how the rest of this goes. All right, let's jump to this next story, you guys. Mike Lindell. Yeah, come on.
You guys know that I'm not just passionate because I like Donald Trump. No, I'm passionate because our country's over if we don't show everybody this evidence, get the Supreme Court to pull this down. Today's the day we have to get the word out of my $5 million offer to these guys. We have to get the whole world watching. This is it. We have 3 weeks buildup. I'm going to drop evidence every single day. There's a $5 million prize for anybody that can prove the election data that I have from the 2020 election is false. Brandon, put up the challenge page right now, will you?
It's like in anyway, I'm not going to talk about his silence between his words. Mike Lindell, do you guys remember when he was offering $5 million to anyone, cyber security experts or cyber experts in general, to disprove all that information he was tossing around at his cyber symposium back in 2021? Well, there's news. Let's watch.
This just in, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell has now been ordered to pay out $5 million to an expert who debunked his 2020 election conspiracy theory.
They went to arbitration, and the arbitration panel said, this data is not related to the 2020 election. Mike Lindell, it's time to pay up the $5 million.
Time to pay up, bro. Of course, he's trying not to do that. Here's some details of what he's now doing after he's been proven wrong for the 487th time. The panel said Robert Zeidman, a computer forensics expert and 63-year-old Trump voter from Nevada, was entitled to the $5 million payout. Zeidman had examined Lindell's data and concluded that not only did it not prove voter fraud, it also had no connection to the 2020 election. He was the only expert who submitted a claim somehow, as what those arbitration records then showed. So he turned to the arbitrators after Lindell management, which of course contested the results here. They refused to pay him. He proved them wrong. They said, hell no. So arbitration stepped in and said, hell yes, you do. It's weird, though, because I mentioned it was done at this cyber symposium that he had in August, I believe, of 2021. And it was so airtight, I don't know how. Remember this moment?
This just came out. It's Gateway Pundit. It's by Larry Johnson. And what he said, he goes, one of Mike Lindell's cyber experts bailed on the China hack theory earlier this week and spoke with the media. Why now? He goes down to say the cyber expert on the red team hired by Mike Lindell now says the key data underpinning the theory that China had attacked our election unveiled at the cyber symposium is illegitimate. That's a lie. Okay? China did it. Okay? It's a lie. So we're deflecting this lie and we're checking into it. The red team's checking into this Larry Johnson. It sounds like he's CIA.
It's the damn CIA again. In case you guys couldn't really tell what was happening there, one of his cyber experts, I guess, turned on him and said, you know, all this stuff that he's talking about at this symposium is BS. None of it makes any sense. In fact, I don't want anything to do with it anymore. And now he was CIA suddenly right after that. Also, how come he's offering to pay $5 million, but he's not offering to pay more than $100 for that suit that fits very horribly on him? Just a little bit of mean things to say. But still, it's the CIA. But one more glimpse that CNN did point out to us. In depositions, when it came to all this, he was very confident that this would not happen this way. Watch.
Now, as part of this story, we got access to some of the filings related to this arbitration. We also got access to some of the depositions. And in Mike Lindell's deposition, he's pretty confident he's not going to have to pay this out.
When you had the idea for the Prove Mike Wrong challenge, did you have an expectation you might have to pay out $5 million?
No, why would I have that? Because I already had validated.
So you didn't have any concerns that someone might win the Prove Mike Wrong challenge?
No, because they would have to show it wasn't from 2020, and it was, you know.
So I talked to Mike Lindell very briefly today. He has vowed to me that he is going to be taking this to court.
Of course he's taking this to court. When in reality, you know what happened was, Burbank, in the official rules of his $5 million challenge, he was avoiding court, and he said, we'll settle this in arbitration. It said it right there in the contract. I'm not sure how much further you can go with this, but my only regret is no one else, or at least it's very simple, I would assume, to point out the lies that he was pushing in this, just to be $5 million richer.
This is not a real person. This is a character from the writers of Parks and Rec to The Office. Like, I can't believe this is a real guy. Down from the mustache to how his suit goes up to his shoulders, the way he talks, all of it. Why is the My Pillow guy inserting himself into every political conversation in the United States? And I did some thinking on it. And I think it's because My Pillow guy has a vested interest and people not being woke. It actually directly affects his fortune, how much people are sleeping. So that actually makes a lot of sense. But it's hilarious that someone can say, I bet you $5 million that this stuff is fake, and then they can take you up on it and there can be a lawsuit. We live in such a litigious society. It's kind of funny, but it's also bringing so much attention to the fact that all of the data they said they had surrounding election fraud is false. A lot of it wasn't allowed into court because it was just deemed to have no grounds as evidence. And so it's really good that this is in the center of the conversation again, because there are a lot of people that still don't have a lot of trust in our election processes. But the right has been consistently saying, and it's a trend, that the CIA is an enemy of them. The CIA has never been an enemy of the right wing in America. If anything, they are the tentacles reaching out abroad to the octopus that is American right-wing extremism, affectionately called El Pulpo by the people in Central America and Latin America that have been affected by the CIA's activities there. So it's absurd that they're now trying to rebrand their relationship with the CIA as if they haven't been on the same team the whole time.
It's a common theme. Also, when Trump was had to go to his arraignment, it was the most biased judicial system ever. Suddenly they have a problem, and let's defund the police. Come on, bro. Good luck, Mike Lindell. Like I said, him going to court is also not in the contract, and also they were supposed to settle with arbitration. We'll see what happens. He probably, who goes? Maybe he doesn't have the $5 million anymore. Next story, you guys. This was funny.
America presents Real Women of Politics.
Real women of politics.
Today, we salute all the real woman leaders of this great country.
Real women don't have to fake it.
Real women doing real things.
Real women work too hard for this.
Some big companies can't tell the difference between real and fake anymore.
Real people know the difference.
That's why we're introducing the Real Women of Politics koozie.
Real women of politics.
Now, you can salute the real women of politics at every backyard barbecue and tailgate. And if it covers up the label of a big woke company, well, that works too.
Real women of politics.
Order your Real Women of Politics koozie today.
There's that next grift. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor of Arkansas down there, is doing her latest. She was a little bit late, maybe a week and a half late, maybe even 2 weeks late, to trying to cash in on the whole Bud Light controversy and the boycotts that they have going because of Dylan Mulvaney. But she's looking to make $15 for every pair of these koozies with women's faces on it. Real Women of Politics is what they say. I just noticed one of the faces. The second one there was Governor Kay Ivey, I believe of Alabama. This is what I know her for.
They are, we're getting a slight increase in the number of doses that we'll be getting to the state.
Yo, listen, I thought it was fake when I saw it a couple years ago when it happened, but it is real. As a matter of fact, this is the moment that it happened because I just like the look on her face. Just one more time, Kay. That should be on the Real Women of Politics koozie that they're selling. I might even buy one. No, I won't. But this is what Sarah Huckabee Sanders actually did tweet in promoting this ridiculous promotion, this grift, this campaign builder for some more money that she's going to need. She tweeted, "Real women don't have to fake it," and then told everyone to watch that video. Obviously, you guys see the double meaning, but I'm not sure if they really realize the problem is many of these incels that have a problem with their couple of women that they've ever had ever in life, it ends up being that they have to fake it anyway. It's reasons why they really can't keep many of them. So that double meaning didn't work out for them. Some folks did point that out, though. And something else, though. I noticed this in it, too. These two folks in that Real Women of Politics promo there apparently also appear on Getty Images. Look at this tweet from Melanie Dirijo. Excuse me for screwing up your name. "You too can create your own propaganda video of patriotic constituents with a monthly membership." And there's the Getty Images there. Of course, these are a couple of folks of color, not just direct, obvious white folks. So they're all a part of the whole thing too. The only question left, though, is Are you gonna buy some, Jess?
No, JR. I will not. I am on the market for a koozie though. I do frequently drink things in, cold glasses, and I would not buy a politician's picture on the koozie. This doesn't make any sense. Dylan Mulvaney, not a politician. This doesn't make sense as a response to what Bud Light has done at all. No one wants, I'm sorry, Sarah Huckabee Sanders as a Bud Light girl. We don't. I don't understand where they're coming from with this. They have descended our politics into chaos with real women don't have to fake it. Ben Shapiro said that his wife, who is a doctor, reassured him that a wet you-know-what meant there was a medical problem. So maybe the right should have just looked at their history on the matter before they went with this innuendo as their main catchphrase of this campaign. I don't understand where they're coming from with any of this, because no one wants their politicians to be central in their pop culture when they're trying to have a good time. It's weird how they all want to be celebrities instead of, representing the American public in some way.
It's so much easier to do it that way, but instead we go this roundabout thing. One more thought, because you brought it up to me. You brought it up and it reminded me of a thought I had. So the real women don't fake it line, at least to me, maybe I'm wrong. It sounds like the onus on a woman having to fake it in the sexual situation, it's her fault that she's got to fake it, because real women don't have to fake it. Of course, this is an attack on trans women, of course. But then the double meaning is women don't have to fake it. Well, maybe real men don't have to make a woman have to fake it. It's always that. Just like single moms, it's like their fault. Or a kid with daddy issues. It's not the daddy's fault. It's the issues of the child that has daddy issues fault. It never goes to the culprit of these things. It goes to the person that's affected by it. Republican 101 right there. It's the way that they approach their politics. And if enough people see it, maybe they'll understand what they're saying and that they have absolutely zero intention of representing you. Just making some cash off of their back. This next story. We have a good Monday.
Sir, we cannot move. We're sorry. This car won't let us move. We're not driving. He's trying to... Sir, there's no one there. Sir, I'm so sorry.
There's lots of laughter going on in this video of a self-driving car there in Phoenix getting pulled over by cops, at least getting redirected by a cop off his motorcycle, and he's slowly approaching. I'm not gonna lie to you. First thing I thought was, yo, I'm ready to prepare to tell this guy, yo, I'm not driving it. Put down the gun and the taser and the baton. I have nothing to do with this. Or maybe they wouldn't even see anyone, just get to shooting through the windshield. Who knows? It happens. But still, this is from a company called Waymo, and it's a self-driving car service. It's Uber without a driver. I guess that helps out without having to pay someone to drive, except these self-driving cars, which I didn't know we were using in this capacity yet, they make mistakes. Here's an image of the way these Waymo cars look. And this originated up in San Francisco, of course, the tech area of San Francisco. So apparently if you see this car coming, you should understand it may not exactly know what's happening on the road. So according to the passenger in that video there, with the cops pulling them over and checking them out, he said everything was fine until it came across this here parade. Johnny Romano was the guy. He said the car had already encountered the parade and that a police officer earlier and attempted to avoid it by essentially going around the block, but then ended up turning toward the front of the parade instead of away. Makes sense. It doesn't really know what's happening. Things are moving. A Waymo spokesperson told Insider that the company is using an advanced machine learning to teach the vehicles how to respond to hand signal and construction signs instead of the normal things that the computer is just going to see. I'm not sure how they're going to tell that. Maybe how far away the person who's given hand signals would have to be for this to get picked up. But because of things like developing these extra things, I would assume that they probably shouldn't have these on the road yet. Also, they seem to struggle when they run into public transportation, trolleys and trains and things like that. That sounds disastrous as well. So also this video went out from a year ago of this driverless car, made by a different company though, by the way. And it also appeared to run away from cops, which might be even more dangerous than just sitting there looking at them in front of them. Watch.
This morning, a sign of the times captured on camera. At first, it looks like a normal traffic stop until...
Ain't nobody in it.
Watch closely as police look for a driver or any sign of human life in the car, but it turns out it's a driverless car, fully autonomous. Now watch as the officer steps away. The car appears to drive off, crossing an intersection before stopping again. Police were able to reach crews, which manually took control of the car that's being used in a test of a driverless rideshare program in San Francisco. Crews telling ABC News the car was not trying to speed off, but that our AV yielded to the police vehicle, then pulled over to the nearest safe location for the traffic stop as intended.
Call me the old man, Jessica, but I'm still on the whole thing where we should drive manual transmission cars and definitely not with an empty seat in the driver's seat while I'm putting my life in danger based off of someone's computer program. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you should love the police, but I am saying I'm concerned about the cars in general. The optimal response being to leave and pull away from the police as a decision made by, I don't know, an AI with no human emotion is kind of hilarious to me. The robots might be all right, but how are we going to program cars to deal with this? How are we going to program cars to just say, yes, officer, not resist arrest? Who pays the traffic ticket when an autonomous vehicle is pulled over or does something against the law? We're going to see traffic ticket revenue go down dramatically. What are we going to replace that with? I don't know. Is it your fault when your car gets pulled over and gets a ticket? I love watching the police have to struggle to deal with this problem, though, because they have implemented robots and artificial intelligence into their policing so heavily to help them catch criminals on the street, but really to have more of a surveillance state. All of these robots, they have cameras all over them. We see the robot dogs being tested in LA. It's terrifying. So the idea that the police have to confront this on the other side, I think is pretty cool to watch.
You know what? This could lead to actually some of the, come on, I had a slight bit of positivity coming, but let me go ahead and reel back first. Maybe it could lead to some kind of actual reform when it comes to the way the police conduct things, or say they're shooting up these driverless cars when no one is in it. Huge companies that, of course, bribe our politicians to do their own bidding all the time may go, hey, hold on. We got police officers shooting our equipment. This stuff is expensive. You guys have to slow this down. Defund the police. And they just might listen because that's who they listen to instead of humans that die at the hands of cops in many of these cases. But if you shoot up a car that costs them $80,000, who knows? It might be a problem, and they might change up their approach then. Or maybe cops would put on notice. If you see the Waymo, turn away. Let it do whatever the hell it wants, just like the folks that make it. Next story here, you guys. This happened out in Tennessee. We know all the drama that's been happening in Tennessee with all of these bills going against drag shows and also kicking members out of their state house for actually trying to do something about gun reform. These are the things that are going on. But Lizzo showed up in town, and she brought a whole new energy. Cover the children's eyes. Those are drag queens on stage with Lizzo, who many folks who hate drag queens also don't like her either. Pretty simple, straightforward. She's there in Nashville performing, and she brought out several drag queens to help her celebrate or perform for the audience. And now, I guess, it's a problem. She also made a statement about all the things that are going on, specifically why she's in Tennessee in the first place, considering all the laws that they're passing over hate. Let's watch that.
In light of recent and tragic events and current events, I was told by people on the internet, cancel your shows in Tennessee, don't go to Tennessee. And you don't have to go there personally. Their reason was valid. But why would I not come to the people who need to hear this message the most? The people who need to feel this release the most? Why would I not create a safe space in Tennessee where we can celebrate drag entertainers and celebrate our differences and celebrate fat black women? giving hope. So thank you so much for standing up for your rights, protecting each other, and holding the people accountable who should be protecting us.
I love it. Lizzo continues to ruffle feathers of folks who are acting like they actually give a damn about taking people out or whatever it is that they say their morals are when it comes to this type of legislation of hate. It's all about gaining more power, but she's not afraid to point these things out. She was also playing the flute. You guys remember, I think it was the Library of Congress. She was allowed to play, I can't remember which one of the early American founding fathers' flutes it was, but she continues to do whatever the hell she wants, as a matter of fact, given these opportunities, and I love it. One of those folks that's very upset about this is Matt Walsh, and again, I can't even say he's serious here. This is his like standard response to things, and he says, throw her in jail, because of these laws that they've been passing in Tennessee about drag shows. So throw her in jail. See what happens then. Here's some of the things in this bill that Matt Walsh is apparently in support of versus humans dancing on stage to an audience that wants to see them dancing and singing on stage. Yes, that's the problem. This anti-drag bill, informally known as the Tennessee Drag Ban, was signed into law at the beginning of March by Governor Bill Lee. It aims to restrict, quote, adult cabaret performances on public property so as to shield them from the view of children, threatening violators with a misdemeanor and repeat offenders with a felony. How generic of a bill is that? From the view of children. Last month, Tennessee State Senator Jack Johnson told CNN that the bill was not meant to target drag performances or transgender people, but, quote, simply puts age restrictions in place to ensure that children are not present at sexually explicit performances. A federal judge in Tennessee also temporarily blocked this implementation, stating that the ban may be unconstitutional. Just maybe, Burbank. It just might be unconstitutional. But to continue to push and put pressure on this, Lizzo showed up, did this show, and maybe some folks are pulling their hair out. And the others that aren't are probably beginning to realize, yo, this is something we've been trying to push, maybe to really even working out. I doubt the second option, though.
My favorite part about this story is when Lizzo says, they were telling me don't come to Tennessee because of everything that's going on in Tennessee. But of course I'm going to Tennessee. It's important that I do so. These are the exact people that need this performance and this message tonight. That is huge because a lot of our politics, and especially liberals, are guilty of this. There's a lot of don't go to the South, bad things happen in the South, sort of ascribing the worst politicians that we have as the entirety of our culture and the people that live down here. That's not at all the case. The South is gerrymandered probably more than in many other places in the country because of the history here. I wouldn't say that everybody in New York City is like Mayor Eric Adams. So don't ascribe the characteristics of the politicians here to the people living here. We're not our politicians. To think that the South is uneducated or not progressive or not accepting of people who like to wear drag or who are transgender, it's so dismissive, and it's so absolutely not the case and not true. So that's my favorite part about this story is Lizzo sending that message, which is sort of under the larger narrative here.
Yeah, very true, because this is the thing. We've heard folks that watch the show, and I'm sure it's everywhere, just in general, as people post, how they're like, you know, I'm there's a blue circle in the middle of a red sea. I'm out here, and I'm happy to see that someone thinks like me. And we've had more opportunities for folks to be able to voice that and actually see folks that think differently because of the expanded access to information and also just discussions around it. And that's where they're losing. It's why authoritarian countries limit people's internet access and make sure that they can get on this side and that side, especially young folks. Again, you talk about the gerrymandering of some of these states, but also the way that they're barring folks from being in positions to see and get certain information. Book bans, obviously, but as if, you know, we can't read books outside of in paper versions, but still in doing those types of things as well. So they have to keep coming for more people's rights to make sure folks don't understand what's happening and then react accordingly. Hopefully more artists do this, and we'll see if they have the backbone to see if they can continue pushing this type of stuff. Again, I guess Matt Walsh didn't realize that they suspended that rule for now, so it's just a matter of a clout chase for him at that point. This last story we go through the rest of the day, it might have a bit of a side meaning to it, and I'm beginning to wonder. Here's some more crazy rules down there in the South.
For what? Because I said,
What are y'all doing?
why are you in my house? Why are y'all in my house? Why are you in my house?
For what?
You're a body piercing, okay?
In your home. He was not unlawful.
Body art without a license.
Guys, chill. What is really going on here? You got him?
Yes, I got all of it.
Guys, you're in the cameras. This is ridiculous.
Must be a violent offender there, as cops in Tontatown, Arkansas. Sorry, never heard of this little town. They walk into this man's house. As you can see, there's another kid there, older kid there, recording this whole thing as they snatch him and pull him out of the house and they arrest him. So what is it that he did? I mentioned that kid that was recording. It's his son, and he pierced his son's ear. Yes, pierced it. He was arrested for piercing his son's ear in a state where body art is banned on children under 16, regardless of parental consent. As this viral video arrest shows these 5 cops that ran up in this guy's house. I want you guys to just stop for a second. Let's pause and think about that again. He's arrested for this piercing in a state where body art is banned on children, regardless of parental consent. Think about the other things about parental consent that happen in states or are beginning to stop happening in states because politicians and folks who write these hateful bills don't want these parental rights to actually go into effect when it comes to their children. But piercing and body art in Arkansas is definitely a problem. Here's a mugshot of that father that was arrested. He seemed somewhat maniacally laughing at it when it happened. I guess he figured that it wasn't going to stick. His name is Jeremy Sherland. He's 45 years old. And again, he was arrested for doing it. They put him in they mentioned that his son mentioned at his school that his dad pierced his ear, was drunk, and did so, I guess, forcefully in a way. The word then spread, and it went on to the cops, who then came back and got his ass. They put him in chokehold and all that good stuff. Here's one. I want to read this first paragraph from the Tontatown's police response of this. They said on the 20th of April, the police department was contacted by a Springdale police school resource officer in reference to conducting a welfare concern on a juvenile male who resides in Tontatown. They stated that a male juvenile went to the school with a piercing in his left ear. While sitting in class talking with other students and a teacher present, the juvenile male stated that his dad was drunk and put him in that chokehold before piercing his ear. So they first went and checked in on it. He even said so in the video what it is that happened. So this is the son's response to what it is that happened before they then came and got him.
Piercing his son's ear without a license. Takes 3 cops, 4 cops, coming into my house without permission. No permission. They busted in my front door. This is the boy right here. He got a pierced ear by his dad. These cops busted in my door. Busted in the front door.
I wanted my ears pierced.
Cuffs on this boy for nothing. No.
So this is where it's possibly in debate, Burbank. Of course, we can only go off what we've seen and heard, but it's just sticking me with this odd law that the piercings thing is a problem in Arkansas. But he then said that back in, I wanted my ear pierced, but they were concerned that maybe it was forced on him.
Yeah, I'm really glad that that bit was in there. We know that the law is you can't have a piercing even with parental consent. But it matters to me because law and justice are not the same, that this kid actually did want the piercing. Cops don't write the laws, right? We elect people who make legislation. However, cops are responsible for choosing which laws to enforce, to what degree, sometimes with deadly force. That's a lot of unreasonable power. And when I think about maybe how those cops' time could have better been spent, I went and looked at what the backlog for rape kits is to be tested in the state of Arkansas, and the latest data shows it's about 300. So there were many better things those officers could have been doing on the clock, on the public's dime. And there are many states where the earliest age a child can get married is 12 years old with parental consent and a judge's consent. There are 43 states where a child can get married under the age of 18. Arkansas is one of the exceptions, actually, where you have to be 18. They're ahead of the curve. They passed that law in 2019. But it's still the case that police officers across the United States of America and legislators across the United States of America are passing laws that have absolutely nothing to do with justice and enforcing laws in a manner where justice is not prioritized.
Just normal things that people move through life that they're then legislating against. Think this is Arkansas. Again, Governor Huckabee Sanders there. They just passed a law about child labor laws to reel those back further. But then piercings. I want you guys to think about the number of 2-month-old babies that you've seen with piercings in their ears. And if it's ever happened in Arkansas, and how many folks just might be arrested over it. I would assume that's forced as well, because I'm not sure if a 2-month-old is like, hey, can I have that piercing at Claire's at the mall where some 15-year-old person's going to punch this into my ear? I'm sorry, 13 now, because they've rolled back some of those laws. But still, if you've noticed, by the way, it wasn't about the potential abuse. It was about the piercings. At least that's what it seems to be the case. These are the laws that we live with, you guys. This is what we're working with. Thanks, Burbank, for joining me. This show kind of flew by, but there was a lot. There's a lot going on. I have a feeling it's going to continue on. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your week, please. Also, you guys out there as well, don't enjoy the rest of the week just yet. Hang around. We got the Young Turks, Anna Kasperi and Cenk Uygur. Go check them out. We'll see y'all tomorrow.